Hey guys, welcome back to Birdies Not BS. And we know that all of our listeners are of different levels of playing golf and knowing golf. Today's episode is especially for those who are beginners. Golf 101, the basics. We're going to break it down for you guys at home. Let's get it started.
Hey, what's going on? It's your man Doug. I'm here with Cheyenne. As always, Birdies Not BS coming at you with a little golf 101. I don't even know where to start, Cheyenne. I'm gonna be honest with you because
Right. So it's been a while since we've been beginners.
right.
I started playing golf when I was 5, so I'm 24 years in.
All right, got her beat too. Damn, I'm old.
But we have Mari Bell here, who's our producer.
That's right.
Who is a
Hello.
golfer, and she's got great questions for us that beginners might be
And a
wanting
new
to know.
golfer at that. But before we even, I don't want to hear from her just yet.
Okay.
I want to talk to you first, Shy, about just memories of starting the game out, because you had a different start. You know, you had one of the best mentors kind of help you with the game in Earl Woods, and I've read reports, I've seen things, I've seen a lot of things. But what do
You've been
you
researching
remember?
it.
What do you remember about being like super young in the game and just learning?
I just remember falling in love with the game almost immediately at a very young age, 5, 6 years old. Everything was fun. I was super competitive. I loved being good at what I did. But I was a beginner. You know, I still was learning. And I've told this story before, but I remember my first tournament ever. I was 8 years old. It was 9 holes. And I thought I won the tournament because I had the highest score. I shot 98 for 9 holes. And, you know, I grew up watching basketball and playing sports. That highest score won. And so for me at 8 years old, I thought I killed it. Like I
Right.
was
No, you
ready
did
to
kill
just
it.
dominate this golf world.
That is exactly what you did. You killed it.
But, you know, as a beginner, I learned very fast of, you know, what it takes in this sport to actually be good. And I grew up going to the park, hitting balls back and forth across the field. And then we found out what a driving range was. Okay, now we go to the driving range and we learn to hit balls there. So yeah, you definitely learn along the way. There's not always like the perfect resource of telling you where to go and what to do. But like you said, my grandpa got me started. So he was the one who, when we had questions, we would go to him and ask him what we should do, what tournaments to play, what golf clubs should I be buying at 8 years old, 12 years old. So that was definitely helpful for me growing up.
How good was Earl at golf?
I mean, from what I remember, he was great. You know, he wasn't flashy. He wasn't long. You know, for me, I mainly just chipped and putted with him. He taught me how to plumb bob when I was like 12 years old and taught me how to putt to the picture. So for me, he was more so wise and very knowledgeable about the game. I didn't really see him play per se, but he just knew a lot about a lot. And that's all I needed as a kid, you know, watching TV with him, watching golf and just kind of picking his brain. That was really all I needed in trying to learn the game.
Did you pick his brain, or did he more tell you what to do?
Well,
did you ask
I
him
was young,
questions,
so I
or was
probably
it
didn't really know what to ask.
Right,
But
right. It's
I
probably
think just, you know, he was older. He was a grandpa, you know, and grandpas love to tell stories. And so just sitting there watching golf, he would just tell stories of whatever was happening, whatever memories he had. And I would learn lessons through his stories. And we only went out to the golf course maybe twice ever. But in those times, like I remember putting to the picture, he put a pack of cigarettes down next to the hole, and that's how I learned to visualize.
Thought it would learn how you pick up a habit. I didn't know that's how you learn how to visualize. Go ahead and take these cigarettes right here, girl, and put to the picture of Marlboro
Right.
Lights. Do you remember what kind of cigarettes they were? Let's see how good your memory was.
I don't remember.
All right,
I've
it was
got a
just a pack of
picture of it.
cigarettes.
I can pull that picture out of the archives
No,
somewhere.
I just found it interesting. Put to the picture, and it's a pack of cigarettes just sitting there.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, that's what he was
funny.
known for. I think that just goes to show everyone does have a unique way of getting started in the game, having that resource of learning. For you, Doug, did you have that resource where you were able to get the immediate information and kind of know the guidelines of how to get better at golf and where to get started?
I wish I actually knew how to answer that question. I mean, my golfing background is very unique. I grew up a product of a driving range. You know, my mom and dad knew that the safest place a kid could be would be a driving range. So they thought. growing up. So they would drop me off at a range back in Kentucky, and I was raised by everybody at the range, right? So when I'm, 10, 11, 12, I was at the range hitting balls in my little area. Different folks would try to help me with my game, help me with my swing. So I remember being hella confused starting golf because I was the product of so many like attitudes and opinions. You talk to this individual, they give you that advice. You talk to an actual instructor, they give you this advice. And my beginning to golf was very conflicting. So I remember being just super frustrated to the point where it's like, you know what? It can't be that hard. This thing is flat and straight, the club head. It's a club and there's a ball. Just get it to go where I'm looking. And, before I really started getting lessons, that was the plan. Just hit it to where you wanted it to go. And I think I'm grateful for that start to golf because I think that's essential to how people teach today. Like whatever advice you get, as long as you hit it towards a target or hit it somewhere remotely where you're looking, that's the name of the game. So that's kind of how I grew up, trying to make contact and trying to hit it somewhat to where I was trying to go. That was then, Shy. That was a then thing. Now getting into golf is we didn't have social media. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have George Gankis with sites you could go pay to learn information from. So you actually had to go do your research, make some phone calls, and do those types of things to try to figure out who to even trust and believe. So now it has to be super difficult to try to learn the game now because there's almost too many places to go to get advice.
I mean, you mentioned even when you grew up playing golf, it was overwhelming. You had a lot of information coming from every direction. And nowadays, like you said, with social media, YouTube, there's books, there's TV shows, and there's just an overload of
our golf-centric TV station where you can get information on scores and updates and highlights. Well, I didn't have that. I'm old and dating myself, but I mean, same with you. You old because there was no golf channel when you was young. No,
old.
you're not. Yeah, you're not that. You ain't this old. That's what you mean to say. You ain't this old. But not to interject, but there was just no 24-hour resource when I was a kid or growing up like there is now to get advice, be it good advice or be it the wrong advice.
Right.
And those are the things. That's the hard part. To me. Is you don't know what the hell's right and wrong when you're getting the information. You're drinking it from a fire hose.
Well, even at our level, it's an overload of information. If I'm struggling with my putting, I'm still getting information from this way and that way. There's these tips online on YouTube or, I'm seeing Tiger Woods practicing and doing something on TV. Should I be trying this or that? But keep it simple and find that one resource, that one person that you do trust and that you can kind of reach out to consistently. Because if you're changing things every 2 weeks, every 2 months, you're never going to get the results because you're not even giving it time to work or give it time to figure out if you like it or not.
Well, see, Cheyenne, what you just said right there is probably one of the most important things that people need to take away from this episode is the fact that there's so many different places to get information and the way that people dress up the language in golf. Like people will tell you the same shit, but they'll dress it up with different words and different tones and inflections. The most important thing a person can do that's starting out playing golf is only listen to one person. Now, the temptation to listen to everybody is there. It's very easy to follow 30 coaches. And I've even done this. I've done this, I promise. I've literally unfollowed every coach or anybody that was coaching golf because I was getting too many different pieces of information about the golf swing that was taking me away from what I was trying to do with my own coach.
I agree. No, I totally agree. There are multiple aspects to the game. So you can have different coaches or different resources you're going to for chipping, putting, full swing, whatever the case may be. That's totally okay. But again, just keep it as simple as possible. Now, today we are talking about Golf 101. And when I was looking stuff up, for those who don't know, first of all, Maribel and Doug are married. And when I was looking stuff up about Golf 101, you mentioned listening to one person. And one of the number one do's and don'ts in Golf 101 was do not let your significant other be your coach.
Agreed.
And I just want to hear what your guys' experience has been and what you might what advice you might give for listeners who, whether you're a wife wanting to teach their husband or a husband wanting to teach their wife, how is that dynamic?
Oh, yeah.
Stop, run, don't do it.
No, yeah.
Okay.
I would say, so when I first started to play, I didn't know him. So obviously that was easy. But when I met him, I did ask him for help. And then he has given me advice. But you were there. I mean, when we played recently, he was, his advice is very, to me, it doesn't translate the way that other people can communicate to me. So he was saying, like, what were you telling me? To not hit it, or to down and through?
Hit
right?
down and through.
Okay, so his advice is down and through, down and through. And in my mind, that doesn't work. It just doesn't compute for you to just tell me down and through. I'm like, what the hell does that look like? I need visuals. I need you to like touch my club and show me how it goes,
clubs.
or whatever.
We got Coronas out here. We can't touch clubs.
You have to stay 6 feet away.
It's just, I think, so here's the thing. He's great at helping people, and he's great at instructing, even though that's not what he does full time. But me, I don't compute with him when it comes to that part of things. I get some interesting advice that I've used, but I need to hear it from other people as well.
Yeah, it's weird. In our last season, we had the Let's Get Technical segment. We still do it, but it's a little longer now. But when we get technical, we can talk in our language, Cheyenne. I feel like golf is like high-level instruction's got a whole different vernacular. And I don't know how to speak to a person that's beginning the game. It's just, I don't know. I honestly don't know the words to use.
No, I agree. I can totally relate. I've
say.
always said I'm a horrible coach because a lot of golf, it's a lot of terminology too that isn't easily translated to someone who doesn't know golf on our level, whatever that is. But
yeah,
do you know what I mean? The terminology sometimes is advanced, and when you are just trying to communicate to us what's basic instruction or information, it doesn't always translate as easily as we think. That's why I always say I'm not a great coach, because I just say, just watch and do this, like just do it. and
right.
Yeah,
I'm the opposite. I feel like if you're a decent player, if you're like a 5 and below handicap, I'm who you want to help you with your golf swing. We're going to get that right.
Yeah, but
Doug
I'm
is
not.
the man
Exactly. That's
to
the
go
hard
to.
part.
I don't even know what my handicap is.
Yeah, you don't have a handicap. Your handicap is this belly.
I don't play
right
enough.
Now. You got this belly.
I don't play enough. But look, let me ask you something. So how do I even start? If I'm a beginner golfer, so when I was a beginner golfer, I like to do a lot of research. I went on Google and typed in how to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where I started. And then the first thing that came up was an advertisement for, I think it was, where did I get my
Clubs?
lessons? No.
Oh, Golf Tech?
Golf Tech.
Golf
yes.
Tech, or yeah.
It was an advertisement for Golf Tech. So
The SEO
I
search,
actually,
got 'em.
that's where I went. I got golf lessons at Golf Tech. And I don't know if that was the right move
No, you
for
went
me.
to Golf Smith back then. It was Golf Smith.
I thought it was well,
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the business.
The point is that I don't think that was the right move for me, because they started me too high. Like the clubs that I was using, where I started with irons and a driver. And when here's one thing that Doug did do that really helped me.
That's right.
He took
Here
it
it comes.
back. He took it all the way back, and he said, you're starting with putting and chipping.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to I don't want you swinging a driver until you are comfortable putting and chipping. Because
Sound familiar, Cheyenne?
there was just a lot in my head. And I always kind of felt like, yes, I want to hit the driver so hard. I want to release stress.
Yes.
But it's actually more stressful when you can't hit it.
It is. And I was going
correctly.
to say, as a beginner, that's not even fun, because that is advanced and it is super technical. And at the end of the day, yes, you want to hit it far, but you also want to see the ball go in the hole. And that's why I think the putting is such a good place to start for a beginner, because you can start super short, you can work on the basic technique, and you see the ball going in the hole, and that's always exciting, and that's how you gain the love and the appreciation for the game.
So what about if I need a little bit of help when it comes to getting clubs? Like, I don't want to, maybe because I'm new to the game, I don't want to buy a full bag yet, because I don't know if I'm going to love it or hate it or what's going to happen. And it's a big investment.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a full bag because, again, I just walked into the store and they sold me whatever.
If
and
you walk into the store, they going to sell you something.
yeah. And I didn't have the the experience to even know what I was doing. So I just bought what they told me to buy. And nothing was fit to me, whatever. The point is that what would you say are the most basic clubs that someone should buy at the beginning? Like when they're first starting, what are the minimal things that you should have in a bag?
That's a great question because I'm going to be honest, even though, I fit clubs and work at True Spec, we don't see that many like fresh beginners, like straight off.
Yeah, I know. You send me home
right.
during my fitting because I wasn't good enough.
It was rough. It was a bad day. It's a really, really bad day. Some great people, though. No. The first thing people need to understand is right away, you don't need to rush to buy clubs.
Well, then how do you practice?
Or you don't need to rush to buy multiple clubs.
Right,
I think that's a good point to make. Like Tony Finau has a story of didn't they buy one club at a time as he was growing up? Like he would.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can do those things. But most courses, most driving ranges, the average person that's starting golf nowadays is not going straight to the course. I highly doubt that that's happening because that's going to be a horrible experience.
But I went straight to the driving range.
Yeah, exactly. So, but my point is, I want to say that the people that are going to the driving range, most driving ranges have demo clubs and or lost and found bin, which is where I started. There are ways for you to use clubs during your session that you don't have to buy. You can actually just say, hey, do you have a demo, wedge? Do you have a wedge and a 6? Do you even have a rental set as a whole that I can use? And you can utilize those services at a lot of places across the country.
So driving ranges will have clubs that you can just borrow or pay to rent.
Or pay to rent, absolutely.
Okay, but which ones? So if we're starting from scratch, we're starting from putting and chipping, so I should start with getting a putter or renting a putter and some wedges?
Or yeah, and maybe like a pitch and wedge or a 9-iron.
Yeah, maybe like a shorter
when you're just
mid-iron.
starting golf.
Yeah,
there's no reason for anybody to hit above 7-iron when you're just starting. There's just no reason.
See, I didn't know any of that, so I bought hybrids and a driver and like.
No, yeah, they got you.
You were the perfect customer.
Absolutely, they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit my commission with this customer."
Yes.
This month. Yeah, and that's the thing, and then I think that's a good point that you make up. Not the, yes, you got had, but there are a lot of places that you can go, folks, that are literally trying to sell you something. They are trying to hit their sales quotas. They are trying to keep the business afloat. They do not have your best game at heart. Okay, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Doug, I have a quick question. You work in the club industry, so
I do work in the club industry.
Are there signs that people can see or be able to tell that they are being sold something?
No. That's the sad part. You come into True Spec where I'm at, and you don't have the ability yet. I want to be positive. Just because you don't have the ability yet, we will politely advise folks that, hey, maybe a set of clubs right now is not for you. I'd love to get you connected with XYZ instructor that can get you to a place where you can come back and then be fit. And I think too, the learning curve in golf is long. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that people need to understand. You're not going to just say, "Oh, I want to play golf," and then come out and have an enjoyable experience. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen immediately. It's not going to happen quick. It's going to be, I was talking.
You have to start making contact. But I would say that one clue that you could look for is if you walk into a store and they try to sell you a full bag of clubs. When you say,
and
hey,
I'm
a beginner.
Brand new stuff too.
Right. I'm a beginner. I'm just looking for a couple of clubs or whatever.
Let me tell you something.
And they try to sell you a full bag.
If you brand new to golf and you walk into a store and they try to sell you one driver that's $500 and something when you can get a whole set of some stuff that's not as premium that you can learn with for that entire $500.
Yeah, you can go to second swing.
You got second swing. You got Play Against Sports. You got Golf Galaxy.
Yes.
You got Dick's.
There's a lot of online websites. Husband's golf bag.
You know what's crazy?
Wife's
You can find
bag.
you got people like Cheyenne Woods. There's a lot of people out there that have garages like Cheyenne.
Yes.
Cheyenne got 17 sets of wedges.
Don't be telling her business.
Outside the garage. All gone
I'm gonna have
through.
people
She
lined
wears
up at my door.
Her address.
No, but you know what? That's a good point.
L.A.
Maybe
LA.
asking friends, like ask your friends who play
Right.
golf. Hey, you got any
Just one
wedges
club.
or
Yeah,
a putter
just
that I
one
can
club.
borrow?
Just to chip
I think that's a
around.
good idea. What do you think? I mean, if you got a friend like Shot, damn sure got some clubs sitting around. That's for
Oh,
sure.
some people are stingy and they won't let you touch their clubs.
Ooh,
Well, certain clubs cost a lot of money, and you
that's
haven't
true.
crossed the learning threshold to use
Some
those
clubs are very expensive, very personal. So
So, what about etiquette in general? Like, okay, so you're starting out with putting and chipping. So maybe you shouldn't be playing obviously a full round yet. But what if you play with someone who is decent and all you do is chip and putt? Like that's what I did with you guys. I'm not very confident
Yeah.
with my driving right now.
yeah,
And I also haven't played in almost a year.
And you
Yes.
have a belly.
And I have a belly, a huge belly.
because she's
right
pregnant.
now. So, yes. Thanks for clarifying.
In case
thought we-
people didn't know.
Like, why does she have a huge? Okay. So, anyway, so the putting and chipping, doing that, is that okay? Or did I break rules?
No, and I think it's a great idea for those who are beginning. There's so many different ways that you can play golf on the golf course and enjoy golf on the golf course as a beginner. One is, yes, your friends want to go play 18 holes. You're just going to chip and putt. You're just going to putt around, kind of chip it.
But most courses are going to charge you for that. They're going to charge you to
or
be
can-
out there.
you
They're
can
going to
sneak
charge you a
out there,
rider fee.
though, right?
But they're going to try to charge you a rider fee. Like, you're going to pay
There's
another 10, 50.
there's a rider fee.
Yeah, sometimes there's a rider fee at courses.
Okay.
If you're playing a 3-ball and you bring your wife or your husband, spouse don't play,
That's a good point
sometimes
to
you
make
got to pay
then. Yeah.
10, 15, $20 for them to ride with you.
And then you
it
also
might be
want
worth
to
it.
you also want to make sure you're not slowing up play either. You got a group behind you
Okay.
and they see 6 people on the green putting around, they might, call the marshal up. So just be careful with that. But if you are willing to pay and hit a few shots on the golf course, you always have the option of, okay, let me just play the golf course from 100 yards and in. So I'm going to say, okay, this is a par 4 for me. I'm a beginner from 100 yards. Make your own par, set your own
love that.
distances,
I
and you
love
can
that.
still enjoy the game at your pace. Nobody says you have to play a par 72. Like, it's just a number on a scorecard. You're beginning, so make the game fun for you and make the game something that's it makes sense. It's not something out of reach for you.
And that's another
That's a
thing.
good
Like,
point.
I don't like keeping score when I'm just playing with whoever I'm playing sometimes because it's discouraging.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
be
intimidating sometimes. You just want to go out there and hit it around. You don't care if you had a 4, a 5, or an 8. Like, you just hitting it.
Or a 10.
And sometimes you want to pick it up, and that's okay.
Yeah, just pick it up.
Oh,
Put it in
wait,
your
that's
pocket.
not possible, right? You can't have a 10.
You can have whatever the hell you want to have. If ain't nothing on the
As
line.
long as you're not
you-
slowing
at some
up play.
point- Right. No, see, that's the
Yeah.
thing, because I know that's what
I know some people.
everybody
that can make
hates that.
10 real fast.
So at what point, if you are a beginner, what point are you not supposed to be playing the ball anymore? Like, at what point do you have to just pick
I
it up and
think-
say,
When the people
"I'm
behind
done"?
you start screaming at you like, "Hey, let's go!"
Right, so
The
there's
hell?
that.
Speed up. Let
No,
us
but
through.
to prevent that.
There's that. And a lot of times people will go by the standard of double par. So say it's a par 4, you're hitting your 8th shot, maybe pick it up and just take 8.
Yeah,
Okay.
For the scorecard's sake.
Yeah.
One thing I think that folks should do more of, there's over 110 million golfers in the world or in the U.S. There should be more kind of mentoring friends. When I say mentoring, that's what I mean. I'm a golfer, Cheyenne. You're a golfer. Monty Bell's new. We should take her out to the course and actually show her what to do from an etiquette point, right? Don't stand in somebody's line. Or
Yeah.
hell, what does standing in somebody's line even mean?
What
Right?
does it
What does
mean?
that
Doug?
mean?
Because
So-
I didn't know that when
Yeah,
even when I went to watch you at
Let me
the
tell you
beginning.
something. For me, standing in my line is probably, I'm showing my hand, the most disrespectful, rude thing you
And
can do.
it's so
on the
funny
golf
because I'm
course.
the complete opposite. I could care less.
I think it's rude. I think it's disrespectful.
See, some
I
people
think
don't care.
Yeah, Cheyenne doesn't care because she's cooler than me. But I
But what
think
does
it's
it
rude.
mean? Where does the person
So-
stand that is? What are you
Yes.
saying?
So the line from the ball to the hole is deemed the line, right?
Imaginary
that is the
line.
intended line.
Yeah.
It's an imaginary line, doesn't exist. The respectful thing to do is to not step in someone's line because you don't want the depression on the grass to ruin how the ball is going to roll.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So if you step in somebody's line, when you step down, that could create, a bump in the green where the
Okay.
ball could bounce off and miss the putt. So what you want to do is you want to be respectful and step over and or around said individual's line. So for me, I think it's rude, and I think it just shows that people aren't paying attention to their surroundings and lack, certain integrities altogether.
Okay, see, when you said that, I thought you were talking about standing to the side of you when you were about to tee off, because I know you don't like that, or
I don't
you
like
used to
people
not like
behind
that.
me. I want
And
people
that's
in
another,
front of me.
it's another etiquette thing, whether it's a tee shot or on the green too. So whether you're standing in front of or behind, it's distracting. And so that's
Absolutely.
something that, some people might not be aware of, and they're not meaning to be rude or disrespectful, but they are.
It's absolutely disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that a lot of people don't know about.
I'm gonna tell you the first time nicely. I'm like, hey, yo, it's my line right here. You need to stand to the side of it. But the next time I'm like, hey, yo, what the hell? I told you about this situation, and you just not adhering to it. So we got to talk about this.
But no, the mentor thing that you had mentioned is a good idea, because there are so many programs for kids, right? Learning the game of golf, learning etiquette, learning the do's and don'ts. But for adults, you don't really see that at any golf courses or any organizations that do that. And so maybe that is something that people could reach out to a friend who plays golf, and maybe like once a month, just come out and show me the ropes and
experience it. And just experience.
Let me experience it. Yeah, let me just shadow you and see how I can make this work.
It's a golf internship, basically.
Yes.
On-course internship.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you heard it here first. Birdies Not BS. Cheyenne is going to be sponsoring adults for the first ever on-course
what did
golf
I get myself
internships.
into? I'm giving out my clubs, and I'm now interning people on the golf course.
No, you're managing the interns.
Managing
You're the manager.
that sounds like even more work.
That's it.
So,
it.
okay.
Grow the game.
So if I go to the driving range, usually they have chipping and putting available as well.
Free.
So they have, okay.
If you bring your own
so
balls.
they have
And a
those.
public course.
Oh, you bring your own balls.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can even save money if you're just chipping and putting.
That's literally what I did when I was a kid. When my parents dropped me off at the range, I had a couple chores around the range so that I could earn balls to hit. I'd pick balls and, clean weeds, whatnot. That's where I lived. I lived on the chipping and putting green because it didn't cost any money.
When do you know you're ready and you graduated to using a driver or hybrids? Or
And that went fast. We went from free putting to hitting driver.
Free
and
chipping
hybrid.
and
no, because we
putting.
talked about putting, chipping, maybe an iron like the 9-iron, which you said that's a low iron.
I don't know. I always say that stuff backwards, right? 9-iron is a high number, but it's a low loft. It's
a short iron.
It goes
Oh
shorter.
yeah, because that's the thing. That's the thing, you guys. I didn't know that at first. That the numbers actually, like the higher you go, the shorter the distance.
No, I said it
right.
backwards. Oh, yeah,
No,
you
that
said
is
it right.
correct.
Sorry, I'll have to,
So the driver is 1, right?
Yes.
yeah, it can be.
Technically. Okay.
Kinda.
So how do you know you've graduated from the shorter distance clubs
I
to
think
maybe a driver?
I think it
Good
comes
question.
down
I
to
don't know.
comfort, and what you have access to. So say you've been chipping and putting for however long, and someone just gave me a driver. Let me just see how it goes, and if I'm comfortable with it, do I enjoy it? I think it's a person-to-person, just comfort level basis. I don't think there's one correct way to know that you're ready to start hitting drivers, but obviously you would like to progress up to that.
A lot of people learn how to hit the ball with the driver.
Yeah, because you can tee it up super high, and that's usually the easiest shot.
Yeah, you can tee it up and you can hit it high, and it goes up, and people love it. It's far.
It's very rewarding
it's
when you make contact with a driver, because it feels so good. But when you don't, it's so bad.
You know what? You can't say stuff like that to Cheyenne, because when she hits the driver, it's always the same.
Yeah.
So hitting driver for her is
I
probably
play
not as
very
rewarding.
boring golf. Yes.
Probably the most boring golfer ever.
You're not it doesn't relieve any stress for you then.
No, I love it. I love hitting the driver. I love hitting it hard. But yeah, as Doug said, I do play very boring golf. I hit a lot of fairways.
I do enjoy when you miss a fairway.
You do?
It's
Oh,
fun.
I'm glad I can do
It makes me
that for
excited.
you.
It's like, oh, she's human. She is human. She's not a robot. Yes.
Yeah, I got to spice
Get out
it
of
up
that
every
trap.
once in a while.
Okay, so what do I need to keep with me when I'm first starting out? What are the basic things that I should have with me at the course or at the driving range?
Ooh, I'm going to answer for Cheyenne. She's going to say chapstick.
Chapstick and
Besides-
Doug, what do you use for your hands? lotion.
Moisturizer.
Antibacterial and lotion.
And yeah, okay. So
How are
nowadays,
you on my hands right now, and I'm not even in the same street as you?
I already know what they're looking like.
It's so
Okay,
rude.
but what else besides sunscreen?
Okay, so I would say
Like just the basics.
the basic. You know, you have a little baggie that you take to the golf course every time you go out. You should have maybe a golf glove. I don't know, golf glove.
A glove?
Some
Yeah.
Glove balls.
golf balls, maybe just 3 golf balls. You can chip and putt around. Some golf tees, which are, the little wooden sticks that you put in and tee the ball up. What else? Some people don't know what tees are.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
I
true.
know,
This is basic. We're talking basic here.
That's why I said wow, because I saw where we were going.
Don't be judgmental.
I'm not being judgmental.
This is how I started. I didn't even know what par meant. I didn't know. I had to learn, okay, par is even, and birdie, is when you're 1 under, and eagles 2 under.
There you go.
I mean, I know that now, obviously, but there's a lot of terminology out there in the golf world that can be very confusing and honestly overwhelming. So what would be a great resource? Maybe a book to read or something. I don't know. Like, where do you even start learning about this stuff?
A great book to start with golf is simple.
That's not boring, Doug.
It's not boring. It's got great pictures and illustrations. It's even got some animation. It's Tiger Woods' My Game. Isn't that what it's called? Or How I Play Golf. Excuse me.
How I Play Golf.
Tiger Woods,
Yes.
How I Play Golf. My Game is the series
That's
that he did.
That's a beginner type?
Yes. If you actually read the book,
Yeah.
Tiger breaks it all the way down.
Yeah.
He starts from the green, how to be a good putter, how to be a good chipper, and then you gradually gets to. You should read the book. I own it. I have 2.
I thought it might be
probably the best-
boring. I
There
don't
you
know.
probably
go.
the best-
Quarantine book club.
One of the better resources I think that's out there for beginners. Again, that was 31 years
so
ago.
fire up the Googleator.
Yeah,
up the Google
Google.
later.
And I mean, for me, in learning anything, whether it's golf related or not, YouTube is a great resource. Like, I'm sure if you type in even just golf terminology, someone has created a YouTube video that breaks down par, birdie, sand trap. What's a sandy when you get up and down? Just the basic out of bounds, the rules. It's a great tool to go to just to kind of get the basic breakdown of what you might need to know.
The last thing I'll say is that when you set on this journey to play golf, it's not a short route to be successful. This is one of the hardest games that you can take up, especially as you get later in life. When I say later in life, like 22. If you take it up post 22, it's gonna be tough.
Damn, I'm way past
I know.
that.
I'm just saying it's gonna be hard. It's not an easy game to start, and you're talking about at least 2 to 3 year learning curve before you actually see measurable results.
I agree.
I mean, and it sounds doom and gloom, right? 3 years before I see anything that resembles success, absolutely.
Yeah.
Golf's a microcosm of society, so you're gonna have folks that you can't trust. You're gonna have folks that try to swindle you. You're gonna have really amazing people that have wealths of knowledge. You're gonna run into every type of scenario you can in life on the golf course. You can't get around it. There's no way to avoid it. So just put your seatbelt on early in this game and ride it until you get better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And because everything that you said there, and I think it's so true, but it's also why we're addicted to it, because there is a constant curve of learning it. There's something always to be working on. And I think too, that's why it gets frustrating, and that's why we're addicted to it. But those who are beginning need to also realize that is a never-ending journey in a way. And the reason that I love to play golf as well is because of the social aspect. And I think if you're beginning to play golf, you want to make sure you're in an environment that you enjoy and you're with people that you can truly enjoy, whether you're hitting it 300 yards down the fairway or you can barely make it off the tee box. So yes, it's a game that you want to be good at and you want to improve on, but at the same time, you're outside, you're probably in a beautiful park area, beautiful golf course with people that you enjoy being around, and that's what it should be about.
And corona-free.
Corona-free, stay 6 feet away, and bring your wet wipes.
And there it is. Again, another episode of Birdies Not BS. Doug Smith, Cheyenne Woods. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of our golf journey. You know where to find us, Birdies Not BS, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And Cheyenne will tell you the URL.
BirdiesNotBS.com. Send us all of your questions, and we will read them and answer them, and we'll see you next week. Or you'll hear us next week.
We're not going to see you, but we're gonna be back next week.
I always want to see people. I want them to see.
I know. FaceTime Cheyenne at Cheyenne Woods.